All right, well, good evening and welcome. My name is Eric Zipkin, one of the co-founders and CEO of Tradewind Aviation, and I am beyond excited to be here today and welcome all of you, members of our aviation community, members of the Tradewind community, and members of course, the United Airlines community. It's really just a very, very exciting time to be here, and I'm very, very proud that we're here to celebrate the kickoff of our partnership with United Airlines. This has been a long and winding road, one that is very much a testament to the professionalism, the diligent hard work and care that everybody from the Tradewind team puts in each and every day to bring our reputation to the point where we became eligible to be part of this organization. So we're gonna little bit of remarks. I'm gonna shut up now and invite Perry Lewis, who is the leader of I don't know exactly what your title is, Perry. I can introduce yourself. To talk a little bit about the program and get us kicked off here. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I like to walk and talk at the same time. I've already cleared it with our camera crew back there, so I hope you don't mind having to play a little bit of a tennis match as I go from one side to the other. Thank you, Eric. I am Perry Lewis, Director of Aviate and Pilot Strategy for United Airlines. Before I talk about the partnership, I'd like to tell a little story. We have Captain Monica Frain here today, who is the Senior Manager of Sourcing and Engagement. Her job is to develop our partnership strategy, to go out and vet partners, to visit those partners, to ultimately launch these partnerships, and to continue to have the leadership engagement that we will have here with Tradewind. And Monica's traveling every weekend, works incredibly hard at what she does, and which means being on the road, which means being away from her family, and that's a lot to ask of Monica. So when she mentioned coming to Tradewind a couple months ago, I said, well, can I tag along and see, this work, how difficult this is? So let me tell you how difficult this visit is. We land in Newark, we get picked up at the airport, driven to the FBO, met by your team, your pilots. They walk our luggage to the aircraft on these beautiful Pilatuses. We get on, we fly down the Hudson, beautiful views of New York City. We land there, we meet Eric and David and Adam and the team, have a great meeting. Eric takes us out to dinner and we fly home the next day. So Monica, if this is what you're doing every week, then no sympathy. But in all seriousness, this partnership, like I said, incredibly proud. It was a no-brainer for us after meeting with Eric and team. You look at the professionalism, you look at the operation you all have here, the safety record, SMS, congratulations. We knew that we wanted Tradewind to be a part of the Aviate ecosystem. And it's on two fronts. This isn't a sharing of logos. This isn't a branding exercise. There is a lot of value here. One, for our Aviate participants that are at a participating university, flight school, or even our own Aviate Academy, to be able to come here and get the incredible experience that's offered by flying for Tradewind. And for those that are already here at Tradewind, the experience that you get is exactly the experience that we're looking for at United. So once again, thank you very much. Very excited to be here and looking forward to this evening.
This has been an awesome turnout. I'm so excited to meet all of you. I've wanted to wear this uniform and fly for United Airlines since I was 4 years old. So I grew up just a little bit north of Denver at a small little fly-in community. I'm a third-generation pilot, second-generation United pilot. You guys that grew up on Cessna Drive, right? I mean, it's almost like I didn't have a choice. But I got to spend my weekends growing up flying in my dad's aerobatic biplane, losing my hearing. But we didn't have an intercom, right? So he'd reach through and he'd tap me on the side and he'd wiggle the stick. And then I'd wiggle the stick and I'd grab his foot, and that meant I had control. And I have to tell you, from that point on, I knew that what I wanted to do was fly. I wanted the office with the best view. I knew I wanted to land at United Airlines. But you know what I didn't know? Is how I was gonna get there. So I played a little game. Anybody remember whack-a-mole? Am I dating myself? Do they still have whack-a-mole, right? So I flight instructed in 3 different states at 3 different flight schools. I flew for 2 different regionals, 3 different aircraft as they moved around and my certain aircraft went away. And finally, I would love to stand here and tell you, gosh, my dream come true, I got hired at United. But my timing was such that I got hired at Continental Airlines, which was also a dream come true. So I actually landed at United by merger. So I ask you, wouldn't it be outstanding if I could stand here today and say, you have a destination, but how do you get there? And I could provide you a roadmap with a direct path to the career of a lifetime. Well, that's exactly what I'm here to talk to you about today. That's what the Aviate program does for you. But before we dive right in, and I promise not to kill you with PowerPoint, I want to thank a couple of people, because I can tell you this event today, these partnership agreements, this does not just happen. There is an entire team on the Tradewind side and on the United side that makes all of this happen. So first of all, can you please thank Stephanie for all the work that you have done to get this event off the ground? So thank you very much. And to be really honest, the partnership starts right now, right? It started a couple months ago when everybody was started working together with marketing and communications with the entire Tradewind team. We did have an awesome time coming out. And Perry, for the record, that's not how it normally goes. I'm normally like stuffed in the backseat of a 2-seater car for more hours than I would care to admit. So this was truly a special experience. And I would be remiss if I did not thank Thomas, who reached out to me initially and has really been instrumental in getting this partnership off the ground. So I know it's a tremendous amount of work, and I know that this is an A+ top-notch team, and I could not be more excited to be a partner with Tradewind Aviation. So thanks all for being here. I promise I'll keep it brief. So we're going to talk a little bit about why United, right? What is it that we're doing that makes it the destination of choice? And one of those is diversity. So I can sit and tell you that we're doing all of these diversity initiatives, that we really believe that we want our flight decks to represent the communities that we serve. But I actually view diversity as a safety imperative. It is critical that we expand and have a diversity of thought in our flight deck so that we can always arrive at the safest outcome. And United Airlines doesn't just talk about it. We're truly dedicated and working on diversity across all of our work groups. So culture, right? What is culture? Culture is all about the people, right? And I can tell you that United, while we're growing and we're buying aircraft and we're expanding our fleet, what do you think our most valuable resource is? Anybody? Thank you. You guys, everybody's so scared to speak up. Don't leave me up here on my own. People, right? What actually makes a company worth staying at, right? What makes it so you have so many employees, Eric, that stay here for so long? It's culture. It's the type of people that you have leading and the type of people that you have working for you. So we have tremendous culture at United Airlines, and we are always working to improve our culture and support our most valuable resource. Second, network and bases. And I'll keep it short on that because we're going to dive into it. But just remember, network bases growth equals opportunity for you. And then last, just career opportunity. So by growing and expanding, there are a multitude of careers across United Airlines beyond the flight deck, but we're here to focus on airplanes. Anybody like to travel? Perfect. Me too. So we have one of the most vast route networks of any of our competitors, and we're growing and adding on to this network every single day. So we just announced that we are one of the only, I think the only US carrier to now fly from the West Coast to the South Island of New Zealand. We're the largest carrier over the Atlantic now and the largest carrier over the Pacific. So this to me is opportunity. Beyond connecting people, we're uniting the world and taking people to the moments that matter most to them. We also have 11 bases. So as one of our pilots, you have the opportunity to live all the way from Guam in the Pacific, all the way to the Newark area. So it's tremendous opportunity. Whether you choose to live in one of our bases or you want to live somewhere outside of that base, you'll have the flexibility and the opportunity to get to work with usually only one flight, because it's not always possible to live in base. We recognize that a lot of people might actually commute. So I was actually flying the 787, and I was in Narita. And I remember getting off the plane, and I'm going to admit I was a little bit tired after the flight from Denver. And I remember looking over and seeing one of our 737s. And I had a little bit of a moment where I said, what's that thing doing here? How'd this 73 get here? I was like, oh yeah, we have this amazing Guam base where you can go and fly the 737 all over the South Pacific. Anybody want to fly a wide body? Yeah, awesome. So not only are we taking delivery of a record number of aircraft, but you want to know where our new hire pilots are going? So it used to be 85 to 95% of our new hires went into our narrow body fleet. So they went into the 737 or into the Airbus. Now, every week in new hire class, we have pilots that are going straight away into our 756 fleet. They're going into the 787, and they're going into the 777, which means you'll be doing international long-haul flying from your first day on property at United Airlines. But what if that's not for you? That's okay. That's the great thing about United. We have 5 different fleet types. Do you want to stay domestic and fly a narrow body? You can do that. Do you want to fly international wide body? You can do that. I spent a long time. I spent 13 years flying the 737 in the right seat, and a lot of people thought I was crazy. They're probably not that wrong, maybe just a little bit crazy, but there was actually a method to my madness, right? I have 2 small kids. I wanted to be home, so I was able to do turns. So I've yet to miss a birthday. I haven't missed a Christmas. I haven't missed those moments that matter to me because I prioritize being home. But that's not everybody's path. And to be honest, what was right for me and my family has also changed. And what's fantastic about United is that my career was able to change and evolve with me. Then I had the opportunity to go fly the 787 once my kids were a little bit older. And then fast forward, I had the opportunity to go into our flight training center and work like Scott does here as a flight instructor or a flight manager and actually fly the Airbus, which I can tell you I never thought I would ever fly an Airbus. So lots of opportunity to meet you wherever you are in your career. So we have more aircraft on order than my 2 hands combined. So 1 in every 4 aircraft that come off the line at Boeing have a United tail on them. So we have actually really worked hard, our CEO, to capture the market share of aircraft deliveries. And I can tell you from personal experience that that's actually happening. I've had the opportunity a couple times in the last few months to go out to Boeing Field and pick up a brand new 737 MAX. It's really an awesome experience, but we are growing by leaps and bounds. So we have an order book of over 500 narrow bodies. So most recently, we announced an order for 270 narrow bodies, 200 737s, and 70 Airbus 321 XLRs and NEOs. And then, not to be outdone by our own order book, then this last December, our CEO announced that we actually have 200 787s coming. So again, what does that mean? That means that we have more wide bodies than our 2 largest competitors combined. So we really are the airline for international travel. Aspiring pilots should choose Aviate because we have done all of the groundwork for you. You apply, interview, and then are given a conditional job offer at United Airlines. And once you've completed all your time, you transition to United without an additional interview.
I didn't have something like this when I was in college, and so we were basically on our own to make it to a mainline carrier. Now you have this opportunity where all these things are laid out in front of you, where it gives you a direct and clear pathway to a United Airlines flight deck.
You will grow up in the United culture. You'll learn from our pilots. You'll learn from our mentors.
It's essentially a golden ticket to the career of a lifetime, and we've taken all the guesswork out of it. So now we've talked through why United Airlines. Let's talk about how you get there and what the benefits to the Aviate program are. The first and the biggest is that once you apply and interview and are successful, that is your one and only interview at United Airlines. You will receive a conditional job offer that will allow you to transition directly to United without an additional interview. So I can tell you, I might have lopped off my right arm to have that, which might have made my medical a little bit more difficult. But It really is a tremendous opportunity for you. In addition to that is we offer personalized one-on-one coaching. So once you're in the Aviate program, we pair you with an active United pilot who's your coach. They're gonna come alongside you throughout your entire journey in the Aviate program. And that's to mentor you, to answer questions, and to be a sounding board, knowing that you might have a couple years until you get to United. We wanna make sure you have that support and structure that you need along your journey. In addition to the one-on-one coaching, we also offer connects. So every quarter, we host a leadership development connection for all of our Aviate participants to join and learn and then ask questions. So another great opportunity to connect with us back at United Airlines. Remember that route map that I showed you with all those blue lines? So you can also utilize your United travel privileges to go anywhere on that map that you see. So after 6 months in the Aviate program, you receive travel benefits on United Airlines. After another 6 months in the program, you can actually designate a travel partner to travel with you. So now you can actually go and share those experiences. So we do that not only because we know that you love to travel, but because we want you to learn who we are. We want you to see our operation and get to know United Airlines, our culture, our mission, our vision, and values. And then we have participant-only events. So we have an entire team dedicated to experience events, and they're held all throughout our network. The very first one was at the Denver Flight Training Facility, which is the largest single-site flight training facility in the world and only getting bigger. In fact, we just purchased another 113 acres out by the Denver airport so we can continue to expand. But all our participants had the opportunity to go fly a 767 simulator. But they're hosted all throughout the system and done also with United pilots, which also grants you kind of exclusive access to a lot of our leaders here at United Airlines. And lastly, and also very importantly, is Aviate will remain a top hiring priority for United for years to come. So once you're in, you do that one interview, you have your conditional job offer, know that you have United's word that you will remain a priority. How do you get there? All right, so your step number 1 is already done. You're actively flying at Tradewind. But next we need you to apply. So you can go onto our website, you'll have access to the application process. Once you apply, you interview, and you're in, then you fly 1,200 hours in the left seat here at Tradewind, so as a captain, and you'll be presented to our board of review. And it's as simple as that, then you transition to United without additional interview. Let's talk a little bit about the interview and how it works. So you apply, and then you'll hear from our HR team there in Denver, and they'll send you a leadership assessment. Once you fill out the leadership assessment and send it back, then they will contact you and they'll schedule an interview. The interview is 2 different parts, and it is very similar to a traditional applicant's interview. So it has an HR portion, and it also has a technical portion. The HR is about, tell me about a time, right? So I'd encourage you all to start writing down some of those experiences that we have, because I think when they happen in the airplane, you think, oh, you know what, I'm always gonna remember this, and then you forget. So keep track of those stories that'll be great to share in an interview. And then there's the technical portion where and they'll send you all of this. You'll have all this information laid out. They say, hey, plan a flight. And the truth is, it's not even a right or wrong answer on your technical interview. It's about your decision-making skills, right? They're gonna ask you how you filed, why you filed that way, what your contingency plans are, your weight and balance, all things like that. So just things that go into planning an everyday flight. So you've applied, you've done the leadership assessment, now you come to Denver, you do the interview, you're accepted into the program. Now, once you're in, we have this amazing industry-leading technology called the My Aviate app, where you'll keep all of your flight time and log all new positions. So say when you upgrade to captain, you'll let us know in the app. Every month on the 15th, you'll update your information. And this provides you a lot of transparency, but it also provides us transparency into where you are in the program and how close you are getting to transitioning.
Welcome to My Aviate, the industry-first mobile and web-based app created for participants in Aviate, United's pilot career development program. It's like having a virtual co-pilot, who's always accessible and there every step of the way. My Aviate is a one-stop shop for everything Aviate program participants need to know about their unique path to United. It's designed to help track their progress through the program by allowing them to input flight hours, update personal information, receive important notifications, and of course, celebrate their accomplishments. No two flight plans are the same, and with My Aviate, every pilot's journey to United is personally tailored to their experience. They'll see all requirements needed to successfully complete the program and the various ways to get there. My Aviate is here to help future United pilots achieve their dreams and ensure the skies are clear for the journey to become a United First Officer.
Justin, will you give a little raise of the hand? There you are, right, front and center. So Justin Kanan will be your recruiter, and I want to encourage you to take a picture of that or reach out to Justin while he's here. He's going to be a fantastic resource for you, especially as you're applying into the Aviate program or you have questions. He can help with interview prep, but he's going to be a lot of one-stop shopping. Thank you. All right, before we get going, I want to come back to one point. Can anyone tell me how many hours you need in the left seat at Tradewind to transition to United? 1,200. Remember that number. So 1,200 hours. You can comply with all of the other requirements on our APG, which are really, truly be a good employee, as I know that you all are, right? And stay on the path and fly right, as our managing director says. And then at 1,200 hours, you check it in the app. It says, hey, you self-attest that you're ready to eligible to transition. Our board of review reviews it, and then within 4 months of your meeting the eligibility requirements, you have our word that you will be in a class at United Airlines. It is truly as simple as that. So, and with that, I will wrap it up and ask Scott to come back up, and Perry. Even though you're not a pilot, we'll let you stand up here with us. It's okay for this once. And we're just gonna take some questions.
Hi, my name is Mark Garner. I have a question in terms of the transition tours. I know you said 1,200 hours in the left seat. How will it work with attaining our ATP and the minimum of multi-engine time?
So you will, to transition to United, you'll also have to meet our traditional hiring minimums, which one of those is you'll need an unrestricted ATP to transition. But the multi-engine time, you don't have to have it. So knowing that you're flying a Pilatus, there's no requirement to have additional multi-time. Actually, want to turn it over to Scott. How did you get to United?
So I flew, much like Tradewind, I flew for a Part 135 carrier, single engine turboprop. So I'm proof of the concept where I got hired at my regional carrier with 26 hours of multi-time. So it's totally doable. And that's just a testament to the quality of training that we have at our flight training center in Denver.
How are you doing today? I just had a question, like how long, if you're, let's say you're part of Tradewinds before you apply for or get into Aviate and you have like a conditional contract with them, do you still have to, once you get in, do you have to like stay there for their conditional contract? Does that override it kind of?
So I want to make sure I understand that question is, does your agreement with Aviate supersede any agreement you have with Tradewind?
Yeah, if like you get a part.
No, so part of our APG is that you actually need to fulfill whatever requirement that you have agreed to with Tradewind.
Okay, and then how, for Tradewinds, how long do you have to stay there to upgrade to captain? Is it still 1,200 hours?
Yes, it's 1,200 hours total time.
We have a question from online. What's the average time frame to upgrade from a first officer to a captain at United?
1 year, 1 day. We have a requirement in our pilot agreement that a pilot must be off probation before they can upgrade to captain. Probation is just a big scary word just to say it's your first year at United, just to get you through. But the day you're off probation, you can become a captain. And that's exactly what we have, is we have pilots at United who the day they are off probation, they are in captain upgrade class.
Quick question for you guys. From the Tradewind sector to transitioning into the United Airlines headspace in general, can you talk a little more about the support system that you have as pilots? Because understanding that going from Tradewind to United Airlines, such a big company, there's a lot of people and sometimes you get lost in the mix. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? I know you mentioned it a little bit before, but just clearing it up a little bit would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So that is, by and large part, exactly why we have the coaching program, right? So that you don't feel at any point lost in the shuffle. But not only do you have the coaching program, a personal connection with your United pilot coach, you have an entire team, not only on our side of 9 or 10 of us on the Aviate flight operations side, you also have an entire team of HR recruiters. That's where Justin will come in. And that is to ensure that you feel supported throughout your time in this program, that you have someone to reach out to, you have someone to connect with, to make sure you have all the resources that you need.
During these Aviate events, you meet so many other participants, and you would be amazed at how they become friends, and they just network through social media or meetups and all kinds of different events after they meet at United and through our Aviate events. So you build your network as well as you go through the program.
Yeah, great point. Also at those participant events, that's probably the #1 piece of feedback that we received, is that participants have loved the opportunity to connect with other participants. So great question. Thank you.
All right, I was going to ask Tradewind again. Do they plan on increasing their fleet? And then, if possible, like, would you be able to get a type rating in those different types of aircrafts if they did get that? Or is it just the Pilatus?
As you may know, we have another 20 PC-12 NGXs on order, and we're actually looking to increase that order book beyond that. So we're really leaning very heavily into the Pilatus because of the experience that you get, because it's such a great airplane, and the experience that you're getting, two-crew environment, technically advanced aircraft. It's really the type of experience that United finds transferable for the aspiring pilot. So the question is, are we phasing out the older types? It depends entirely on how quickly Pilatus can make new airplanes for us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ariel Messam. I'm curious, if you were already accepted into the United Aviate Academy, how would you go from there to then flying with Tradewind and then back into United Airlines as a first officer?
So from the Aviate Academy, you can apply to Tradewind, and there are different time requirements for people coming from the Aviate Academy. So, and they'll preference their association with the Academy on their application. So then you would apply to, from the Academy, apply to Tradewind, and then you would fly at Tradewind for the same number of hours, right? They're still required to fly 1,200 hours in the left seat, and then they'll transition much like any other Aviate participant.
Hi, my name's Adam. I'm wondering, what are the basic eligibility requirements for the Aviate program as far as like credentials or check ride passes, etc.?
So for eligibility, for those that are here at Tradewind, it's by being a pilot here at Tradewind, and that's really it. As far as check ride failures, we allow up to 4 primary check ride failures, which I don't know that you would be here at Tradewind if you had 4 check ride failures. So really not a concern. I'm looking at Eric over there, not really a concern there. So yeah, eligibility is extended to all pilots here at Tradewind.
Hey guys, thank you for hosting the events. Fantastic so far. One of the things you'd mentioned in the presentation was the priority towards Aviate candidates in the hiring process for pilots at United. There are 4 pathways that I've seen. You have the university, academy, this, and in my case, current United employee. Is there a hierarchy within those as far as who gets in there? If I'm going heads up with, say, an academy CFI who's looking to transition, how does that kind of work as far as the prioritization for hiring? I think that's probably a better question for the boss.
Making my way back to the mic. No, very astute of you to see all the pathways, but those are mostly entry points, right? So we do have entry points for those that are at universities, at participating flight schools, at the United Aviate Academy, and even an entry point here by being at Tradewind. In terms of finding your path to United, they are through a Part 135, one of our Part 121 partners, or through an FTI program. We do a lot of work in our data analytics, in our forecasting, to ensure that we don't build a program that is larger than what we see United's hiring being. So with that being said, United, or the Aviate program, does have top priorities. So when we go to fill our classes, the first thing we look at are who in the Aviate program is ready to transition. We have no expectation that the number of people that we have in this program will ever surpass our need for pilots. And we make sure that we don't build a program that would ever end or result in that. So with an extremely high degree of confidence, we can say there will be no issue in having our Aviate participants be able to transition to United when they meet their transition requirements.
All right, I'm sorry, last question. Do you guys like prefer though to have your, like, not necessarily have the like the time that you need, but just the rating just so you can start building that time, or does it like typically you won't accept somebody that doesn't have it?
So I want to make sure I understand. So so for us, you have to meet the United Airlines traditional hiring minimums, right? Which is an unrestricted ATP. But by virtue of being in Aviate, once you're selected and you're successful in the interview process, there's no additional steps or ratings that you need to be working on beyond what you're doing already flying for Tradewind. So once you're in and then you upgrade, you fly those 1,200 hours, then you let us know when you're ready to transition. That's what makes it so great. So it's not in pursuit of other ratings or different flight time outside of your time at Tradewind. It is 1,200 hours as a pilot in command at Tradewind.
So in order to apply, you have to just, it doesn't matter like whether beforehand you have it or not, it's by the time you're ready to apply.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, good questions.
Before you go to Tradewinds, when you apply to Aviate, it doesn't matter where you are in your flight training? Because like right now, I'm working on becoming a private pilot. So does it matter, or do you have to have your commercial?
Yeah, so you actually need to be employed at Tradewind as a pilot in order to have Aviate eligibility.
Okay.
So that'll be, but we do have another network of partners with different flight schools and different universities. If you're training there, then once you have your private, depending on your entry point, right, then that's a different set of eligibility. But that's what makes Aviate so unique, is that we have an entry point no matter really where you are in your aviation journey.
While she's bringing the mic over, Eric, can I just make a quick comment about how nice your props are on these airplanes? So I was a bush pilot in Alaska, flying Part 135 into gravel strips, flew the Caravan PT-6, same props, same engines. We took rocks into the props all the time, and I was walking around here running my hand on the props, and I'm like, oh, these are nice and smooth. Meanwhile, if I did that on my old airplanes, I'd slice a finger open. So these are some nice airplanes, Eric.
How many people are currently in the Aviate program overall?
There are thousands. I can't give an exact number, but more than hundreds. It's in the thousands. You know, United hired, what was it, 2,400 pilots this year? Yeah.
Okay, last year was 2,431,
Okay,
beating
let
our
me get it
competitor
right.
by 4.
I believe, yeah. We are actually searching for a Guinness Book world record certificate for having hired the most pilots at any carrier in 1 year.
Hi, just wanted to ask, will the interview for Aviate, like the entry point, will it be the same throughout? For example, is it going to be different from, for example, people who are applying to the Aviate Academy, people who are FIT instructors, and applicants like me who may join Tradewind?
Yeah, so the interview is set up specific to where you are in your journey. So if you are a private pilot, that will look different than if you're someone that is a CFI or flying here for Tradewind.
Non-flying question. Is there a similar program in United to support mechanics and A&Ps?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have the Calibrate program, which is a maintenance program. And then we have a few others that are in the works. Navigate is dispatch, and Innovate is for digital technology. So we have all the 8s, as we call them. So it's a great point, is that we are actually hiring across our entire network. And the truth is, United Airlines is a huge corporation with a lot of different hiring needs, some that honestly, until I joined this team, I don't think I ever thought about the fact that we have an entire legal team with multiple different arms, that we have a corporate real estate team, that we have a digital technology team, that we have an airport experience team. I mean, there are truly, Perry's a NASA engineer. I mean, honest to goodness, he's like a rocket scientist. So there is literally something for everybody at United. It's not just pilots that we're looking to hire. It's mechanics, it's dispatchers, it's all across all of our work streams.
Hey, Monica. So in addition to the iPhone application, or the phone application, and our dedicated recruiter,
what other types of recruiting support do you guys provide to our pilots?
Definitely, if you guys haven't scanned my information, come and grab it from me, because one thing that I do offer my team is interview prep. So we want to make sure you guys are fully aware of what you guys are going to be expected to know for the interview. But we also send out a pretty detailed packet before the interview. So you guys will fully know exactly what the interview process is going to look like and what's going to happen that day. Besides that, you guys can always reach out to me if you have any questions filling out that application. And it is pretty long, so there are some questions that might come up. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'm pretty quick at responding. So.
Do you have any details on the retirements at United over the next 5 years and kind of what your hiring outlook is, continuing on in like the next 5 to 7?
Yeah, so I'll start, and then, so I can tell you that one unique thing about United is that we have not reached our peak retirements, and we won't until 2028, where we'll retire over 700. But where that's a great question, and how we traditionally used to look at hiring, right? At the airlines, they would look at the number of pilots that they have retiring, and then they would back that up, and they would figure out how many pilots that they need to bring on property. But if you looked at our our retirement numbers over the next couple years, they don't make sense with our hiring numbers, right? We're retiring like 300 or 400, then maybe 500, and then in 2028 it spikes to 700, and then it goes back down. We are really hiring to support the initiative of United Next, to support the delivery of all of those aircraft and all of that route expansion. That's why we need to hire so many pilots. So it's really a departure from how we have traditionally, as an industry, looked at our hiring needs. Now it is truly more growth-based than retirement-based.
I have a question. I'm a little old, unfortunately. I would have loved to have taken advantage of this program. But it just occurred to me, if one applies to Aviate Academy, gets accepted, but then decides instead to go to college with the intention of coming back into the industry, is there any difference between reapplying to Aviate Academy or perhaps trying to get straight into Tradewinds?
So two separate parts. So I want to really draw out the fact that United Aviate Academy is essentially another flight training provider, but it happens to be a wholly owned flight school by United Airlines. So they have their own application, interview, and acceptance process that is beyond the Aviate program. So once you're at the academy and flight training, and once you achieve your private pilot's license, then you are joining the Aviate program. So I do know that if you go all the way through the United Aviate Academy, it gives you, I think, 15, and I don't work at the academy, so don't quote me, anybody online, but I believe it's 15 credit hours towards your degree. So something completely separate. But so that is one entry into the Aviate program, is through the United Aviate Academy. And then Tradewind is another entry point. But you will transition to United through Tradewind or our other industry partners.
If I have my private pilot's license, is that an entryway into Tradewind from there, or do you have to have more?
Yeah, so for Tradewind, you would have to have your commercial pilot's license. So it goes your private pilots, your instrument rating, and then your commercial, and then a certain number of hours built to be competitive at Tradewind. But I am not, I'm sitting in a room of Tradewind experts, so I don't know why I'm answering the question. So Thomas, what are you all looking at for hiring at Tradewind?
Yeah, so there's several factors that we look at. One, hours. Of course, with the Aviate Academy, we do hire at a lower hour requirement, starting at 300 hours, and then it steps up from there. We look for the good citizens, what United looks for as well. In addition to that, we are looking for somebody that's going to fit well into our ecosystem here at Tradewind. Someone that's always willing to go the extra mile here. In addition to that is the time requirements. Typically 75 hours of instrument nighttime, and a wide range of your abilities to go throughout the different phases, and also CFI, CFII is preferred. It's what we like to see on the application. Yes.
Hi, my name is Angelo Alvarado. I'm with the Red Tail Flight Academy. I'm actually a maintenance mechanic. I'm going to school to be a maintenance mechanic. Always wanted to be a pilot. It was a little bit too expensive for me, so I had to go into a high-level skill first. My question is, after I get my private, what do I look for to go to, Tradewind or Aviate?
Yeah, so for eligibility into the Aviate program, you need to be at an Aviate partner. So after you get your private, if you want to continue your training at an Aviate partner, and we have 30 plus of those, you can have eligibility that way. Or if you want to continue your training in any way you see fit and then join Tradewind by virtue of being a pilot at Tradewind, you will then have eligibility to Aviate.
Thank you very much. I do wish to be at a United, so I'll be waiting.
Great.
For that 300 hours, because I was assuming that it was 500, is the 300 for like a right seat program? And then once you complete that program and get to 500, is it going to be that's when you're officially a first officer?
So that's for the Aviate Academy. So that's the academy that's owned by United. It's 800 hours total time for a standard applicant. And then it goes down from there, 500 total time for an Aviate Academy member without a recommendation, and then 600 from an Aviate source, so from a flight school or an associated college. For Tradewind, it would be 800 hours total time.
When you become a first officer with United, what's the process to getting a base, or how likely is it to get a preferred base?
So it starts at day one. So we start all of our pilots on the Tuesday. So there's a new class that just started today. And then within that class, it's your base, your fleet, and your seat are all done by seniority. And then based on the needs of the operation, right? So by and large, most everyone goes to a more junior base. But the junior bases change, right? Denver used to be wicked senior, and now people are getting Denver almost right out of class. So really, there is so much growth and opportunity that even if you don't get the base of your choice right away, the chances are you might even have it by the time you're done with your initial training. So, but it is by seniority, and I'm sorry, the seniority is done by your birthday. So the younger you are, the lower on the totem pole you are within your class.
How many of your bases are wide body bases, and which ones are the most junior wide body bases?
7 wide body bases. Everything else has narrow body. Everything else is narrow body, but 7 of them are both wide body and narrow body. So it's San Fran, LA, Denver, Chicago, New York, and DC.
And what would you say is the most junior?
Most junior, San Fran or Newark, depends on the day.
Hi, yes, I just was going to ask the question about most junior base and most senior base, and where Washington Dulles falls.
Where Washington Dulles falls? Washington's not super senior. It's kind of middle of the road. I think Dulles is pretty achievable. The most senior base right now is and I'm a tiny bit out of touch on this, Houston.
I'd say it's a toss between Houston Triple and Denver 78.
Yeah, Denver 787 is pretty senior.
Denver 787 is where seniority goes to die. So.
Hi, another question here. So a while ago, you mentioned the prerequisites to flow or transition into United, and one of which was basically your ATP. I'm going to assume that is a unrestricted ATP multi-engine. Well, looking around here, it's all single engines. So does that mean in the scenario where I decide to self-fund my ATP multi-engine, or another company hires me and gets me my ATP multi-engine, does that remove me from Aviate? And if so, is there another pathway to United?
It is on the participant to do that prior to coming to United, and it's however you see fit. So if you have to go and join another company in order to do that and fly to get that experience, that won't preclude you from continuing in the Aviate program. Monica was speaking earlier about the Aviate app, right? So that helps track your progress. So at the time when you know that you have met the eligibility is when you press the button to let us know, and that's when we review the records, put you before the board of review, and then invite you to United. So you do it on your own time frame, on your own path, as long as you just continue to update the app and report that to us.
I'm sorry, it's not the question. I just want to clarify a few things. My name is Elizaveta. I'm a chief pilot of Tradewind Aviation. There was a few questions asking about ATP multi-engine certificate and looking around seeing single engine aircrafts. Tradewind has multiple ways and helps for its pilots to achieve the ATP rating while you still flying single engine aircraft. Do not see it in our hangar, but we do have a multi-engine piston aircraft that's owned by the company. We also have assistance for the pilots for ATP CTP program. So when pilots reach in 15 months as a PIC at Tradewind, they're eligible to get this ATP CTP program, ATP written test completed, and they're able to use the company-owned multi-engine aircraft in order to achieve those ATP ratings. There is clearly some restrictions, rules applies to the use of the aircraft, to price sharing, to fuel sharing, and etc. But there are ways to get your ATP license and certificate without leaving Tradewind and needed to go to another operator or anything else to get your multi-engine ATP.
Thank you to Tradewind and to Aviate for coming.